Hey there YouTube, today we're going to make this hands-free hand sanitizer dispenser. To use this, you step on the bar down here and that activates the pump on this bottle of hand sanitizer so you don't have to touch anything and it's completely hands-free. Alright, before I get into all the connectors and everything you're going to need to make this, as far as pipe goes, you're going to need two 5-foot pieces of 1-inch pipe and two 5-foot pieces of 1/2-inch pipe. First, one of your 5-foot long 1-inch pieces, you're going to cut two 2.5-foot or 30-inch pieces. From the other 5-foot long 1-inch piece, you're going to cut the following. One 1-foot or 12-inch piece, four 6-inch pieces, four 4-inch pieces, and four 2-inch pieces. For connectors, you're going to need six 1-inch tees, four 1-inch elbows, 90-degree elbows, two 1-inch caps, four 1/2-inch elbows, and one 1/2-inch tee. You're also going to need some scrap lumber to make the caddy for the Germax holder. We're going to start assembly by taking the four 6-inch pieces, the two caps, two 1-inch tees, and two 1-inch elbows, as well as the 1-foot section of 1-inch pipe, and putting them all together. When you put the tees in, they need to be going vertical because they're going to be the uprights for our base. And here is our base piece assembled. Next, we're going to start assembling our upright by taking our 2-inch by 1-inch piece of PVC, putting it in a 1-inch elbow and a 1-inch tee, just like so. Next, we're going to take two more of our 4-inch pieces, place them into our base, and then place the 90-degree elbows on top so that we end up with our stand. Now, to finish up our base, for the most part, we're going to take our 30-inch pieces, and they are going to go into these tees right here, and I'll put these tees on top. This creates our frame that our foot pedal will ride in. I still have to create the holder for the Germax bottle, and I got to decide how I'm going to do that. So I'll get that sorted out and get back to you here. The bottle I'm going to be using is this 34-ounce Equate hand sanitizer bottle. Obviously use whatever dimensions for whatever bottle you have. For me, I just cut up this 1x4. I have a 3.5-inch base, two 7-inch sides, oops, and then two pieces. These are a little over 5 inches. I basically measured them to fit front and back, so our bottle should sit right in there, and then I'll drill two holes on either side here to go for our uprights to go into. So let me get that assembled and I'll get back to you. Alright, so this here is what I came up with to hold my sanitizer bottle. It's just, like I said, a piece of 1x4 scrap I had. cut, and then I brad nailed it together. Forgive my less than circular holes here. I did not have a 1.5 inch drill bit, so I had to get a little creative with the drill and router. But let's show you how that fits. Anyway, so this is how the bottle will fit. And then the stand will come in on either side and hold that in place. Alright, so for your 1/2 inch, which will be your handle for this rig, you need 2 3.5 inch pieces, 1 8 inch piece, and 2 40 inch pieces. Alright, to assemble our handle, first you're going to take your 8 inch piece and put an elbow at each end. And take a 3.5 inch piece, put an elbow on one end, another 3.5 inch piece, and then put your T in the middle at a 90. Now what I did do on this T, you can just use it like this, and this will push down on the bottle, because if you do it without this, it's a little off. But what I ended up doing was I drilled a hole in the back side here, and then cut and filed that out so that it'll fit right over my bottle. Let me go get that and I'll show you. So here on my bottle, see this? Just slides right over that, and that way this doesn't move around and it doesn't come off, because when I did that I also kind of keyholed it so that it will fit over this. And that's how that's done. Once you have these two pieces, you'll go ahead and run your 40 inch pieces down the 1/2 inch on the stand, and I'll show that here in just a second. And then you'll attach them here and here. I'm going to dry fit all of this first, and then once I show you kind of the basic function, then I'll go ahead and cement the whole thing together. Just a quick side note here, I end up cutting the 8 inch piece down to 6.5 because it was a little wide for the bottom of the stand. Alright, so here we are all dry fit up. So to make this hands-free, you just step right out. One thing I may end up doing is down here at the bottom putting a piece of pool noodle to kind of give it a little more spring back up, because the spring of the pump handle doesn't have quite enough oomph to get it back up. So I'll get this cemented up and painted, and it should be good to go. Alright, so I thought I'd go over the order that I assembled this in, or I'm going to assemble it in as far as glue up, because if you glue this together in the wrong order, it's not coming apart to fix it. So I started out with 4 6 inch pieces of 1 inch pipe, 2 1 inch T's, and the 2 1 inch end caps. The reason I did that is because these can go on pretty much whatever direction you want, and they'll always work because there's nothing that needs to be at any right angles here. The next piece I'm going to do is the back side of the brace, which is the 1 foot piece of 1 inch pipe and 2 1 inch elbows. The reason I'm doing this one next is because I can glue on the first elbow, and it really doesn't matter how it goes on, and then I can put the second elbow on and push this down against the ground or my workbench to make sure that these two are even. Alright, the next two pieces I'm going to be assembling are the connection between the base and the two uprights. So there's a 4 inch piece that goes vertical, and then a 2 inch piece that goes horizontal. And again, the reason I'm assembling these pieces first is because it doesn't matter where these go, because it's round, so it'll always be where I need it to be. And I thought I'd use one of these as a quick example of how to do PVC cementing. I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments who knows more than I do. More power to them. I'm going to tell you what I know about this, which is very limited. So the first thing you want to use is PVC primer. In this particular instance, it's probably not super necessary, just because We're not really worried about the strength of this so much as in like holding pressure. Now, if you're building, like say, an air cannon or something that required a good seal to hold pressure, like plumbing, then you would definitely want to use this. So next we're going to use the PVC cement, and for that you just coat both pieces. And what this does, it actually melts the PVC so that it welds itself together. So make sure you push it together and hold it for just a little bit, because it will push the pressure will push itself out if you don't. And I should probably be wearing gloves for this, so do as I say and not as I do. And there you go, that piece is now welded together. It takes a little while to cure. I'd have to check what the cure time is on this particular cement. But you should do this in a well-ventilated area, so I'm going to do the rest of this outside in the breeze, and I'll get to the next piece. Next we'll be assembling the two long pieces of 1-inch pipe. And this is again because I can put these T's on the end, and then once I have one side done, I can put the other on, lay it flat against the ground, and get everything to be perfectly perpendicular to each other. These will make your two uprights. Since I got these two long pieces handy, I'm going to go ahead and put the 2-inch pieces into one of the T's. These are the two bits that go into the basket that holds the sanitizer bottle. Alright, next I'm going to take both of my pieces that have the 4-inch and the 2-inch pipe on an elbow, and I'm going to slide those into there. And again, once I get these assembled, I'm going to lay this flat and hold it down so that way this ends up being perfectly straight. Alright, here's the build. Part of the build is going to get a little complicated. Thankfully, there's a little bit of setup time on the cement, but not much. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get these two pieces into the back of the base, and then the two uprights into the base, and get everything as close to square as I possibly can. So I'll get that glued up, and then we'll get on the next bit. Alright, so now on to the handle assembly. I'm going to do the same thing again here, where I'm going to put the elbows together first, because it doesn't matter what direction they go, and then I'll do this one and try to get it as perpendicular as possible to these here. So get that done and move on to the next step. Alright, so the last piece to go together before final assembly is going to be the bottom of the handle. So these two pieces will be glued into here and laid on the ground to make sure they're perpendicular, and then the two long pieces of 1/2 inch will go together. Once that's done, I will slide this assembly into the uprights and glue the whole thing down, and I will try to get that on video so you can see it. Alright, so here it is assembled. What I ended up doing was I took a piece of pool noodle and cut these buffers, or bumpers, whatever you want to call them. What I did is I cut it in half, hot glued it together, and wrapped it in Gorilla Tape. What this does is it gives the bar here a little more spring to come back up, because this spring here isn't quite enough to lift this handle assembly on its own. And also, another side effect of this is when you press this, it comes out in a gentle like flow as opposed to just shooting out of there, because before it was really easy to step too hard and just launch sanitizer everywhere. The other thing I did was I put a rubber band around this T right here. If you can see that very well or not. But that's just to make sure that the bottle doesn't fall out of here, because this does rotate a little bit. Changes I might make in the future is I might add an extra piece of wood right here just to make this a little bit wider, because the stand not having any connection here is a little wobbly. Another thing I might do is to add another T down here so that this upper assembly here is tight, because you can see where it moves around a little bit. That is kind of nice for getting this caddy in and out of here, but it makes the whole thing a little more wobbly than I think it should be. So if you found this video helpful or informative, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.